How's it going, everyone? Equinox Phoenix here, and today we're gonna talk about post-crisis Arrowverse. As of yesterday night, Flash is back, and so we're gonna talk about everything, the fallout from Crisis, etc., etc. Where to start? Of course, as we discussed in the last video, about a month ago, all of the Earths are now one. Let's start with Supergirl. Supergirl is, if I say this. Okay, so Supergirl, obviously, we now know that Lex is a quote unquote good guy. We find out he's not all good. And apparently, Lena has her memories. It was part of the deal that Lex made with Marno Vu, which I guess is a thing. As well as Win comes back. I believe that was the second episode. I think that was not this past week. It was the latest episode that came out. Anyway, Win comes back from the future to capture his alternate Earth self and prevent him from besmirching his name and making it so that he's a wanted criminal. Because Win's now a family man. We found out he had a kid. In the future, that's things are shaping up to be interesting. When it comes to Supergirl as a show. Will Lex betray Lena? Will Lena reconcile with Kara? These are all questions I have, and I'm sure some of you also have. So we're gonna find out, in the coming weeks, maybe even next season. Assuming there is a next season. I actually haven't checked if any of the shows have been yet. I think they have been actually. Now on to Batwoman. Of course, as with the multiple Earths, people getting thrown into our Earth and whatnot, we find out that not only do we have our own Alice, but Beth Kane from, I think it was Earth 2, to be honest. Might have been some other Earth, who knows? I don't think it's ever stated. Is also got thrown into Earth Prime. She was let in with all the not central, national city folks that are, we have like multiples, like the multiple Brainiac 5s, etc., etc. We now have Beth Kane. This allows for us to have a good Beth that we get to know as an adult. Uh, Allows Kate to have that sisterly, full twin relationship with someone who isn't a complete and utter psychopath. We also learn more about what happened to Alice when she was younger and how she became Alice, as it were, which was, pretty interesting. Honestly, Batwoman, just like Supergirl, is shaping up to be a very interesting rest of the season and beyond. Um, what's next? Legends. As okay, I didn't know this because I didn't watch the season finale of season 4 until this morning, just now actually. Um, Zari is no longer a member of the Legends. We now have Bayrod because they fixed the timeline, made it so that the metahuman act and whatnot was never a thing. So Bayrod never got captured, Zari never stole the totem, etc., etc. So now Bayrod is one of the Legends. And of course, Uniting. This week we actually got to meet the new Zari. Uh, I'm kind of iffy on that. I'm kind of wondering, can John Jones fix her memories, bring back the Legends memories and whatnot? But probably not. I think I think at this point we're gonna have Bayrod on the team, and Zari's just gonna be like a secondary character. I don't know how I feel about this yet, as we've only had Bayrod for 2 episodes, I believe, versus we've had Zari for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. So it's been 2 years. We've we've had her for a while now, right? Someone can correct me in the comments. Um, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about having Bayron. Obviously, I watched it, so I saw the change happen. And I understand why we don't have her. We technically lost a legend, but gained another. It's one of those things, like, we'll see. This season has just started. We can only just see where it goes, right? I don't really know where this season's gonna end up on Legends. Let's take a wait and see approach when it comes to Bayrod versus Zari. Who's the better legend, etc., etc. Let's wait and see, right? Now, Arrow. We see Green Arrow and the Canaries, which is a spin-off starring Mia Queen, who was Mia Smoke before Crisis. Apparently now she has her father's last name, which is a good thing, I guess. Post-Crisis, Mia has had a, I would say, infinitely better life because, Star City isn't in shambles. It's not segregated in any way. We see JJ, who's apparently now dating Mia, which, hey, I'm sure that's great. He's a good guy now. Obviously, there's some rockiness coming from Laurel, Earth 2 Laurel. Ooh. Coming up to the future to find Dinah Drake, who apparently disappeared and was just dropped unceremoniously into the future sometime after Oliver's funeral, which did not happen. The first episode, that was this week's episode, or last week's episode, I believe. But yeah, we have, it's like a spin-off pilot, it's like a, I forget what the technical term for it is. I'm sure someone could tell me. I really wish I had a better camera. Um, but yeah, we see it on it. Obviously, Laurel gives Mia her memories of the past back. It jars Mia. Like, she's like, what is going on? Because her memories of the current timeline, post-crisis, and the pre-crisis timeline are like opposites, right? One is John JJ is her like mortal enemy and killed her best friend, and in the other, at the time of this happening, he's her fiance and is okay with her best friend. It's just like, and oh, also yeah, Hunter Hawk is like now eh, and it's just like, oh my god, like what is going on, kind of thing. But Mia eventually comes to terms with both memories, decides, no, we're going to stay with the feelings and emotions of things. Because there's no emotions to the past memories anymore. There's like a disconnect, apparently, emotionally speaking. So now she's like, no, I'm going to, I'm going to live my life as it is now. But I'll also take up her father's mantle, the Green Arrow, right? Like, she becomes the Green Arrow and teams up with the Canaries, with the two Canaries, Dinah and Earth 2 Laurel. This is gonna be a slightly long video. Apologies. It should be like 15-ish minutes. Actually, no. Flash is really quick. But yeah, and move 1 week later. Obviously, we see it's now coming up on the time of Oliver's funeral. We're in present day now. It's now almost Oliver's funeral, and we see Sarah pop in to the future in 2040 or whatever it is, and picks up Mia. She's like, "Yeah, I'm here to pick you up for your father's funeral," and I'm just like, "Really now?" So she takes Mia into the present, yeah, so that she can attend her father's funeral. Oh, I forgot. Before all of this happens, William gets kidnapped in the future. We don't know yet by who. I guess that's something we're gonna find out next season when the show actually like starts, probably like episode 2 or 3. Now, come present day. Sorry for the jump. I completely forgot he got kidnapped until just now because I remember William got kidnapped. Okay, look, we see everyone is now at Oliver's funeral and whatnot, or they're preparing for it, and then fast forward to the funeral, we see Moira's alive, Emiko's alive, Tommy's alive. A lot of the deaths that happened during Arrow that were not really necessary even for character development, they just kind of, I don't know, I guess the writers decided let's just kill off. I think it had to do more with the actors themselves. They had other jobs and they needed to like move on. Like they could have done the whole Nissa route, right? Where Nissa didn't die, she just kind of went to destroy the Lazarus pits, and then we never heard from her until this episode. Kind of thing. Like they could have done that very easily. Like I'm gonna go find myself. You know, I messed up so bad. Let me just go find myself. Or like in the case of Tommy, like oh my god, my father's a maniac. I need to just get as far away from him as possible. And they could have done it like that, right? And keep the characters alive. Occasionally have they did occasionally have a cameo, but instead of someone pretending, like a shapeshifter pretending to be Tommy, and it could have been actually Tommy when Oliver was the whole exposed Oliver Queen as the Arrow thing happened. I think it was like a season ago or 2 seasons ago. Like that would have been great. It was 2 seasons ago. It was season 6, I believe. That would have been a great way to do it, right? But they didn't, and so obviously Oliver dying in Crisis and rebooting the universe fixed some of those deaths that weren't really necessary. Like Emiko. Emiko's death was odd. Like, why? Why kill her? Fatally wound her, and maybe she wakes up sometime this season. Sure. But kill her? I felt that was unnecessary. Obviously, people like Robert Queen and we don't actually know if Shadow's dead or not anymore. But people like like Robert Queen had to die because their death was instrumental in making Oliver who he was as a hero. Like that's like the um what's the term for it? Origin story of it. Like that's part of Oliver's origin story as the Green Arrow, so it was necessary. But stuff like Moira, Emiko, Tommy, that was like, yeah, here's we couldn't come up with a reason for writing them out, so we're just gonna kill them. That's what it felt like to me. Maybe you guys thought differently. But we see everyone, and obviously in comes Nissa, who's back because Trina Law was filming Hawaii Five O, which is why she left the show. She almost didn't make it, mind you, but she managed to make it. We see Nissa and Talia, who are apparently on this Earth not as at odds with each other, or maybe just Talia's just chilled out over things. I guess they've both chilled out. Who knows? Maybe stuff happened behind the scenes, but overall, we know they're not as at odds with each other as they were pre-crisis. Um, they're sharing an umbrella for. We see like Talia still has like like what looks to be scars on her face, and yeah, it's whatever, right? Like a lot of the deaths are undone. We see some returning heroes. When William gets kidnapped, like little William gets kidnapped. That popping into my head is why I remembered older William getting kidnapped. And of course, they save him. It turns out it was one guy. It was the first person that Oliver didn't kill. Back in season 1, I forget his name. It's not even important, so there's no point. Mia's like, let William go. I wish I had an arrow. That would have been. I wish I had like a bow because that would have been even cooler. But she's like pointing at an arrow at him. It's like let William go. Blah 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 blah. She saves her brother as a kid, but obviously we haven't found William as an adult to save him yet. We'll see next season. But yeah, the story ends with everyone is obviously Mia meets Felicity and like Felicity's like you're at home teething but you're also here. It's just like Felicity's just like having like a feels moment, right? So obviously not the happiest of endings for Arrow, but who knows, maybe we'll get Green Arrow and the Canaries next this coming fall, and we'll see where it goes. Now onto The Flash. This one is apparently both Barry and Iris are still on like, oh my god, Crisis is coming. We have like they're on like super speed when it comes to like I need to get as many things as possible done. And this episode is essentially both of them learning they need to slow down. Of course, Iris gets into a lot of trouble because she's trying to like she almost gets sued, she almost dies. Her and her two and Cecile and I believe her name's Allegra, and Cisco's girlfriend, whose name I cannot remember for the life of me. Um, all almost get killed. Then obviously, Dead Man. She collects all the information she needs to blackmail the CEO of the company that hired the assassin. That she's looking after, and almost gets her kid sued, and yada yada yada. He forces the guy to drop the lawsuit and retract the assassin from killing her friends, because if anything happens to them, all the information is released. And good public image and whatnot. Shady CEO thing. The show ends with, or I guess the episode of the show ends with Iris getting sucked into a mirror by hands that literally come out of it. We don't know what's going on anymore. After they supposedly have learned that they need to slow down, Iris doesn't. She completely disregards her entire lesson for this episode, and then ends up getting kidnapped. Which, honestly, it's a plot point, I guess. Like, we shall see in the coming episodes what's gonna happen. Honestly, overall, I'd say post-crisis, Arrowverse is doing really well, and I can't wait to see where it's going. On a note, I didn't cover Black Lightning in this video or in the previous one because, well, the previous video there was no Black Lightning episode of Crisis. This video, I haven't caught up with Black Lightning yet. I'm still on episode 2 of this season. I'm going to try my best to binge watch them before the next episode so that I can start doing reviews of that as well. But I don't know. I can't even make a guess as to where Black Lightning is at the moment. But we shall see. Obviously, starting next season, once it starts, you know, my watch is like telling me I've been running. I've been running while sitting in a chair. That's interesting. Apparently, my heart rate's really up. But yeah, starting next season in full, we'll be covering it all along with Legacies and other stuff. Assuming Legacies gets picked up again. But yeah, tell me what you guys think of the post-crisis Arrowverse. What do you think is going to happen in the coming episodes? Give me your ideas. No leaks, please. Those comments will be deleted if I find out about it. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe if you're new. I will see you guys next time, and as always, stay right.